Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to another episode of the Bullshooting Podcast here on USA Darts. Happy to have you here, and we have Ryan in the background throwing up his goodies. But that's quite all right. That's quite all right. We got Ryan Mooneyham and Sean Green here. We'll hop on over to Sean. How's it going, my man?
Buddy. Ryan, man, that's why we can have nice things. I'm telling you. I'm doing great, man. It's so good to be here. Man, it was a great day for darts for North America. Great last couple of weeks, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Certainly so. Well, yeah. Hey, it's quite all right. It's bound to happen, but we'll bring it on over to the man himself, Mr. Ryan Mooneyham, who just got back from the Netherlands. Ryan, how's it going, buddy?
I'm good. I've got some sleep finally.
I can imagine, man. I can imagine. As we'll hop on over to the three of us. You mentioned jet lag was a real factor there. I could only imagine that as you head, 6 hours, 7 hours ahead. What was it, 6 or 7? It was 6 hours?
It was 7 hours ahead. 6 hours for London, but 7 hours for where we're playing in Assen, Netherlands. I didn't realize the true nature of jet lag. I didn't go over as early as some of the other players. It really takes its toll. I mean, you're wide awake at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're dead tired at 11 o'clock in the morning in their time. It's just incredible. I mean, I just powered through it. But I tell you where it really got me is about day 4, day 5, and I hadn't really slept good. And, your schedules for like my medicines and I take for my heart were a little bit off balance, and I really felt the change in climate.
Oh,
it was cold.
Oh, yeah. And some people said the food they had to get used to, too. That's another factor. But, yeah, just traveling. You were texting me what it would have been, 2 or 3 a.m. your time. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I don't know.
I couldn't sleep.
Exactly. You can't sleep, so it is what it is. But, yeah, just how was that experience going over there? Of course, you stayed with the Jansons and partook in some fun activities there with league night and numerous other things. What did you think?
First off, I know they're asleep right now, but the Jansen family took me in, treated me like one of their own. The hospitality from the grandparents to Danny's mom and dad to Danny, their friends, was just impeccable. They wouldn't let me pay for anything. We ate everything from the fresh herring that you get off the fishermen's boats to nice restaurants in town to good old fashioned home cooked meals. I got to go over to Yannicka, which is Danny's mom and dad's sheep farm, and they have where they shear the sheep and stuff like that. And I got to go experience what they call a wedding day for the family, which is their wedding anniversary. So I've got to partake in their family celebration. Plus, Danny and Yannicka took us to the darts every day, made sure we were up on time, make sure we were there on time. They watched us play the whole time. They followed us on Dart Connect when they had to work. It was incredible.
Wow. Well, sounds like quite the experience. I know that a lot of individuals that went over there had one heck of a time talking about one of the experiences that'll live on forever for them, maybe a top experience for some. It really was a nice event too. I think we'll get right into it here. Overall, we're supposed to have 77 Canadians, 93 USA individuals that were invited. Overall, we had 48 Canadians participate and 54 US players head over, which is pretty good numbers. I mean, when you're talking, 100 plus North Americans over there, the support system must have been pretty nice. Do you want to elaborate on that, Ryan?
Yeah, so at one point I was on one board, Robbie Phillips was on board, Dustin Holt was on one board, and I believe Jason Brandon was on another, and you had our players going back and forth, watching the matches, and then, I missed the tops. The guy takes it out, beats me 4-3. I turn around, and the whole place like, oh, man, we thought you had it. And it was my shot at the double. I missed it, and all that support was incredible. And then, of course, the youngsters. I'm going to tell you something, man. Our youngsters performed. And those kids were over there to play, and they were performing well. And just watching those kids with Carrie and all of them going around making sure they're on their boards, and they were competing from the little guy to PJ Stewart. It was nice to see. It was a full North American experience.
Incredible. And yeah, we saw, of course, PJ Stewart, we'll mention a little bit later on, of making a nice run there in the sports system he had, as well as Danny Lauby. It was quite the showing for North American darts, I'll say that. And we'll kind of get right into it here. Like I said, 11 from Canada into the knockouts of the WDF World Masters, which is a pretty good little number. You had 21 from the USA, and we'll break that down for men, women, boys, and girls. So 3 men and women from Canada, 3 boys, and 2 girls. And then it was 9 men, 10 women, 2 boys, and then unfortunately no girls advancing through the knockouts on the U.S. side. But, some really standout numbers we had for the men. Robbie Phillips, Jim Long, Kevin Luke, and Elliot Milk having great round robins. You're talking, I think Jim Long had a 94 average, and Robbie Phillips not far behind in the 3rd position with, what kind of average did he? He had a 90.13. And then for Kevin Luke, it was an 88.73. So it was 1st, 3rd, and 8th overall in the group stages for those individuals and averages. Sean, what do you think about those numbers overall for the group stages?
It was awesome, and you could even go down further. I actually knew that the rest of the field was in trouble with Danny Lauby. I think he averaged like high 70s, and I was like, he got through not throwing well, and that leaves tomorrow open for him to kind of really go at it, and he did. But the group stages, the round robins, the fact that we went over there, I think it's a testament to the different skill level that we have playing now, and also the level. We have a lot of CDC guys, a lot of guys who get to see each other often and play each other often, make it over, and it was really cool to see. It's cool to see the game growing in that way, to where when you draw a North American, it's no longer, good. It's, I got to actually, try my best. So.
Yeah, I think you're right there, and not only for North America, but for the world. They even mentioned on the live stream that they had, numbers that they weren't expecting from numerous countries. I think if you looked at the semis alone, there was no English participants. It was all players from other countries. I think you had Hong Kong in there. You had other ones in the quarterfinals, I meant, which is, that right there is crazy to think. Usually the English kind of take over in some aspects, and usually you have 2 or 3 of those individuals in the semis, or even 2 in the finals, which is crazy to think. For Jim Widmeyer and Kevin Luke, it was a top 32 finish in that WDF Masters, so congrats to them. That is definitely a respectable finish. Danny Lauby, unfortunately, finishes in the top 4. He did have a nice 82.48 overall average, but you had a post there that we'll kind of talk about. Wesley Plazier, 86.36, winning at 6.5. He kind of did some tactics there. I think
it's okay. Like, listen, that's not why Danny lost. It's not why he would say that he lost. It's annoying when you're watching it as a fan to see someone as exciting as Danny throw and have someone deliberately try to take that excitement away. And the way that he walked to the board with his very slow moving gait, pull the darts up like that, and then walk away, and then by the time Danny had thrown his 3 darts, he was just getting to drink his water. It's like, come on, man. I get it. I get what you're trying to do here, but Danny was up 5-2, and he just didn't do that in the next round. And that's where it's annoying. He did it when he wasn't throwing his best as a way to put off his opponent. It is what it is. It's a part of the game. It worked. Is it frustrating as a fan of Danny and as a friend of Danny's? Yeah, of course, but it's not the reason Danny lost. Danny lost because he just couldn't hit his winning doubles. It happens.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're right with the aspect of you never want to see a player do that to win, but they did end up with the win, and then he ended up winning the tournament overall. So it's kind of like,
He threw great
whatever.
in the last round.
Yeah,
He threw great against Barry Copeland, 96 average. He well deserved. I just Danny deserved to win the semifinal match, and it sucks that it didn't happen. But I guess arguably he didn't deserve it because he didn't hit the winning dart. But yeah,
The best player lost in the semifinals of that WDF World Masters. Danny up 5-2. The best player lost. I mean, he was. To me, he was the better player, and I don't care about the score lines. Danny would have done the same thing to Barry in the finals. It's just the better player lost, and unfortunately, he got hung up on that double on leg 8, and then didn't get it after that. Let him just start creeping back in. He had match starts.
creeping's
I'm
the right word.
screaming, that's right. He creeped his way back into it. So I'm there with the Jansens, and we're watching the match, and I just said, that's all I kept talking about. I said, he's going to slow play him. He's going to slow play him. Watch. And he'd slow down, get a drink of water, pull away, and I just was getting irritated. Of course, I started stomping the ground and kicking like a little child, but I wanted Danny to win. But in my opinion, Danny was playing well enough to be the champion. It's just luck and circumstances this time took it away from him. I don't think you'll see that happen to him next time.
yeah. I think he will cope with that over time. I think that's one thing you're going to have to do if you want to take that professional level side of darts. Even if he's looking for his PDC card at Q school, which he has in the past, let's be honest. So he's going to have to do that and deal with players that are not the fastest. I mean, we know how the PDC tour is. We all love a fast play, but that's just how it goes. But overall, I'll say 82.48. He got to the semis. Could he have won it? Yeah, but he had to step that game up. We know Danny can step his game up out of nowhere, but to me, he was just 82.48 just simply isn't enough, but it did get
Yeah,
by.
but how many missed doubles? He
Exactly.
had a lot of shots on doubles.
Yep.
If he's hit the double first start, he's a 90-plus average quickly.
And he's got to tighten that up if he's going to, take the leap into the PDC and hope to gain his tour card at Q School or even win major tournaments such as the WDF Masters. I mean, that's what he has to do, I think, is tighten up those doubles, learn how to play with people that may not be his benefit on the Aki. Maybe deal with those slower players. But overall, we'll give him a little congratulations there. There was a nice picture of him at the WDF Masters. Congrats to him on his top 4 finish. And he wasn't done yet. We'll get into a little bit more later. But for the women, we want to mention them. For the ladies, it was Carolyn Mars, Callie West, Asia Jalbert, and Liz Tynan who finished well in the group stages. It was a 62 average for Carolyn, 60 average for Callie, 59 for Asia, and 59 for Liz. Overall, those weren't bad. 24th or 27th position overall for Carolyn, 36 for Callie. Asia was 40th. The rest of the field in your top spots, of course, Bo Greaves was in the 90s, which is just insane. The next closest person was Mikaru at 75. And then from there on, there was a couple in the 70s, but most of your women were upper 60s, is what I noticed. And we're not far off. We're not far off, but we need to, in order to get a top tier North American, maybe it can be Callie, maybe it can be Carolyn, maybe it can be Asia, that steps up and can consistently throw around that 70 mark, that we're going to see a woman go over to the women's series and possibly do a couple damaging events to some other people. Sean, what's your thoughts on that one?
No, I agree completely. I think that we're not that far off. There are girls that are playing now in North America that have a chance to take that one more step. It is just that one more step for some of them. And is it going to be Bo Greaves? No one is right now, but a 75 average can be reached for sure. I think that's absolutely a possible thing to shoot for a lot of our ladies over here.
Well, hopefully we see those ADO averages increase with time too, because I mean, right there we're sitting in the 60s mark for like even titles, like national championship wins. So, but moving on to some finishes, Cali West, Latricia Skurnak, Brenda Moreau. Well, hopefully we get those right, but there's a couple Canadians in there. I'm sure there may be French Canadian on that, but top 32 finishes for them in the WDF World Masters. And then, of course, Bo Greaves winning the event 6-0 with an 80.52 average over Almadina Ferrero with a 74. Ferrero. I was about to say that she was pretty impressive too. I will say that she took over a couple players that really were great shots. Natalie Gilbert is a fantastic shot. She had her chances at getting into the final, but unfortunately fell short. I was impressed. I was impressed with the Spaniard. What about you, Ryan? You saw her up close and in person.
Well, so that last leg between Gilbert and Ferrero was, I mean, it was nervy, because Gilbert hits it, she goes to Lakeside. Ferrero wants another chance at Bo Greaves, who already beat her in one previous, I think it was Euro tournament, a Euro championship, or one of the Opens over there. I can't remember, but they were talking about it. So they had a lot going on, but I think Gilbert was the better player at that time. She just didn't hit that. She had too many shots on double. She had it in her head that if she hits the double, she's second place regardless if she plays Bo or she beats Bo. But it didn't matter. She got a Lakeside invite, and she didn't hit that double. So that probably played against her. And then Ferrero walked into Bo, and Bo just went 6-0 on her. So I mean.
What do you do? Jeremy Byrne tuning in, who's actually overseas right now, is at the Alley Pally today supporting Leonard Gates. He said, I do know there is one American attempting the women's series next year. That would be Shay Cole, who's attempting that route. And we hope that she can do well. I know that she played in the Las Vegas Open and National Championships last year. We do hope that maybe, she does well. We'll see. I think there's no doubt she's going to have to pick up her averages and learn how to, play with the likes of Bo Greaves or Lisa Ashton, Fallon Sherrick. That can be easier said than done. Scary thought, honestly. Even as myself trying to play those individuals. Sean, do you want to say something?
No, that's crazy. What you just listed names that you're like, okay.
Yeah. Right? Ryan, go ahead.
I was going to say Shay has got a pedigree. She's got a lot of experience. She's got a lot of exposure. Now, in our large realm of either soft or steel tip, I know that she'll probably be a little nervy in the beginning, but she has enough experience on the line that she can utilize that experience and then just raise her level of game to be competitive. I think she'll be fine.
All righty, there we go. Well, for the boys, it was Peyton Hammond with a top 32 finish in the WDF World Masters from Canada. Give him a little congrats. And then, of course, P.J. Stuart, as we mentioned before, with a fantastic second place finish. He had a 78.81 average for the tournament. But in the final, it was him and Luke Littler, who we all know Luke Littler, fantastic shot. Plays with the big boys on the Lakeside stage last year. How about this averages for the final? It was a 90.06 for Luke and an 82.73 for PJ as a 6-4 win for Luke Littler. But overall, impressive stuff from PJ as he was able to battle the whole match and really take his chances, take out the checkouts he needed to in order to make it a match. Sean, we'll head to you with your thoughts on PJ right away.
Proud. Absolutely phenomenal job, especially coming from the JDC championships and getting that top 4. I think he showed that the match with Luke today would have been a lot closer than it ended up being between him and Harry Gregory. So I'm just proud. 82 point something against someone who's pushing you constantly and putting all this pressure on. It was so cool to see him not buckle under the pressure on a stage for a good prize, and he just he just shrugged it all off and performed like a professional. It was awesome. It was really cool.
Well, to list some numbers for you real quick, how about this? A 146 and a 105 checkout for Luke. He had legs of 13, 15, 15, 16, 19, and 20 to win the event. For PJ, it was 17, 18, 17, 18 in that order. So, I mean, those are respectable, but when the other individual is beating you by a couple darts and then some, it's just, what is going on? How is this guy just pounding the board right now? Ryan, you saw it in person. Luke's only 15 years old. The sky's the limits for him. Do you imagine him winning a world title? Well, he already has won one world title. Let's be honest, a big boy world title.
It all depends on the 18, 19, 20-year-old age because of the changes of life, meeting the girls, stuff like that. I mean, those are things that could become a factor. Right now, he's young and hungry. He's fearless. I don't know. Maybe if he doesn't have instant success on the PDC tour, he gives it up. I mean, you never know. But he is definitely Luke the Nuke, and that kid can throw. I mean, it's laser beams to the board, and they are on target.
I had the pleasure of streaming him back in quarantine darts days when he was 13, 14 years old, which is just insanity. But his dad said that he tries to just keep him in the darts and keep him out of trouble because he's not necessarily in the best part of town, and some of the youngsters can kind of cause some issues is what I heard. So good on Luke that he's dedicated to putting his practice in on the board, and he wants to do something with it. I mean, he ended up winning today he ended up winning the JDC World Championship 5-0 over Harry Gregory. You mentioned it a little bit before, Sean. 2,000 pounds is what he won there, which is just is crazy. He had another 13 dart leg there as well. But yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit for him if he just stays dedicated. But yeah, the 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old range, what happens there? Does he stay dedicated? Does he keep pushing? Does he see the light? Does he not? What happens there? Who knows? I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm anticipating hopefully a world title down the road. Maybe a Josh Rock 21-22 playing 100 averages against the big boys and making a statement. I don't know. For
He'll be the big boy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's the big boy.
He is the big boy. For the girls, it was Kylie Chapman and Abigail Hardy with top 16 finishes in the WDF World Masters. Paige Pauling and Ida Lanko in the finals. Paige winning 5-2 with a 71.42 average compared to Ida's 67.89. Those are really respectable averages as well. I think Paige is only 13 is what I heard in the commentary. So some young women that know how to play. World Open, it was Elliott Milk with a top 32 finish. Danny Lobby with the top 8 finish. So once again, Danny Lobby performing when he needs to. A quarterfinals appearance in that World Open. Liz Tynan and Tracy Firetag. Asia Jalbert with top 32 finishes. Callie West with a top 16. PJ Stuart with the top 16, as well as Peyton Hammond. So congrats to those individuals in the World Open. And then we'll head to the World Championship qualifiers where, unfortunately, a Canadian will not participate at Lakeside this year. That's unfortunate, but John Norman Jr. was a double 8 away from being in that top 4 and getting a berth. He will unfortunately not. It's kind of a stinker to not have a Canadian in the Lakeside World Championship. We saw what Sean Burt did last year. Some fantastic stuff, playing with intensity. It stinks, but what are your thoughts there, gentlemen? Sean, we'll head on over to you first. It'll be Danny Lobby and Jim Widmeyer, though, for USA in that WDF World Masters. So what's your thoughts on no Canadian?
Yeah, it sucks. It does, especially for John Norman Jr. to lose it that way. You know how much passion he plays with, how much emotion, but then as soon as the match is over with, how much he becomes a very humble human being. So I know that had to be absolutely heartbreaking in the moment for him. Yeah, that's tough. That would stick with me for a bit. Double eight away. Wow. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. I think it definitely is. It's one of those situations you don't want to be in. It's heartbreaking, especially when those you should be playing for a world title, and unfortunately not getting that. But I don't know if he's been at the Lakeside before. I believe he's been in some pretty massive. I mean, he's been on the Alley Pally stage. I know that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's been at the Lakeside. But yeah, moving on. Pretty impressive overall. I'm pretty happy with how we did at the World Masters. We kind of made a statement there with our averages in the group stages, as well as some good finishes from numerous individuals. And overall, I mean, we did have some crummy draws. We had some players that ended up lining up playing against each other, which you never want to do. You go thousands of miles away just to play the person you could play at the tournament over here. But it happens, and maybe that caused us to maybe be one more out of the top 8 or one more out of the top 16. It is what it is, but that's World Championship and World Darts for you, gentlemen. Yeah.
I will say the biggest thing that I think will come back from this is the hunger to go back. There was a lot of good play out of Milk, a lot of good play out of Kevin Luke. Jason Brandon shoots a fantastic match, loses on a double. You know what? He's out one round, and then the guy turns around and stinks it up the next round. I mean, that hunger will be there for those players. Robbie Phillips, of course, performing well. Not having the Canadians at Lakeside kind of a stinker because, I mean, look at what Jeff Smith's done in the past. Dave Cameron's been there several times. Sean Burt last year. I don't know. I like to see world championships with multiple countries involved.
Yep.
To give you an example, the greatest thing for me was I didn't win much, but my pod was a Spaniard, a Scotland, Sweden, Belgium, USA. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better draw. I got my butt smacked, but I mean, that guy from Scotland made me look like I didn't know how to play darts, but he was ranked number 32 in the WDF. But that's all right. You know, I beat the guy from Belgium. I beat the guy from Sweden. The Spaniard beat the tar out of me like I wasn't even standing there. But it was pretty cool because they didn't speak English, and I could yell at them all I want. No, I'm kidding.
I like the Switzerland mix up there. That was good. That was good. Sweden. That was good. All right, guys, moving on to the Kazoo World Championships. Hard to believe we've already had 35 matches overall, which is just insane. But hey, we're rolling right along. It's Dartmouth, baby. Starting off with our North American players here, Mike DeDecker and Jeff Smith. Kind of a heartbreaking affair for Jeff Smith. He was right there the whole way. Almost identical averages, but overall Mike DeDecker with a 92.09, Jeff Smith with an 88.56. It's a 3-1 win there for Mike DeDecker over Jeff Smith. Sean, taking it to you first. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's the brutal part of set play, right? You had two different sets there going 3-2, going to the last leg decider in the set, and then going against Jeff. It's heartbreaking, man. That was a frustrating match to watch as a North American fan, because it didn't seem like he was doing anything wrong and still not winning the legs. It's still frustrating.
Yeah. Well, two sets went 3-2, which is really heartbreaking when you're right there, and it could go either way. But that's the brutal thing about set play, is you could be technically one leg behind and you're actually 2-0 down That's kind of a crummy deal. Ryan, have you ever experienced set play on that magnitude and been in that part match before, that kind of match? What's your thoughts?
I did some practice sets with Danny Jansen, and let me tell you, you're up 2-0, and then he comes back and smacks you 3 straight legs. You're deflated. So you think about Jeff Smith up there missing on a double to take a set, and then he's got to start all over again, and then he loses again on a double, and then it's like 120, trip 20, fat 20, wire underneath the 20. It's a roller coaster in set play. As far as doing set play in the United States, we've never done it. If we've ever done it, it's been on a novelty level. I wouldn't know what the pressure would be like to be in that situation on stage, knowing that you're right there and you're a millimeter away from taking the set to go 2 sets up, and your opponent's on your tail the whole time, but you got a commanding lead. I mean, who knows? You get nervy. You got to be able to handle the pressure. That's why everyone says the experience at Ali Pally is the way it is.
Definitely be nervy darts there. We'll kick out our good luck slide here with all our players from North America who participated at Ali Pally. Yeah, it was unfortunate, and especially with the implications that Jeff has right now. He needed that match. Honestly, now he's kind of at the mercy of other individuals on whether he gets to retain his tour card or not, which is never a circumstance you really want to be in, let's be honest. But it is what it is. I knew that was going to be a tough match going in. Mike Decker has been doing some good things on tour this year, and Jeff has kind of had the struggle. Let's be honest. He got in via last chance qualifiers, so he knew what he had to do, and just unfortunately not coming out on top. But Mike Dedecker will have Minsor Sulovic in the next round. Definitely a match that I could see Mike Dedecker winning in the same fashion, 3-1 or even 3-0, let's be honest. Minsor's not been playing well as well. And then, of course, we've got this match. And wow, a heartbreaker right off the get-go. Matt Campbell versus Danny Baggish. As you never want to see 2 North Americans battle each other right from the get-go, and 2 friends at that. It was a 92.96 average for Matt and a 93.58 for Danny. Honestly, I don't know your guys' thoughts, but when I saw Danny come out slanging and banging like he was, oh man. I was like, where has this Danny been the whole time? Sean, we'll kick it on over to you with your thoughts on that match. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was shocking that it was a 3-0 scoreline, right? Especially because Matt was there, right, with Danny for the most part. You saw the averages are within 1. I honestly thought one of the better matches so far of the entire World Championships were these 2 guys, and the averages kind of prove that. We've seen a lot of lower averages win matches and move forward more than we've seen, I think, in the past. And for those 2 guys to throw pretty class against each other as friends, to kind of put that friendship aside for about 30 minutes or so. Yeah, I would have loved to just see it go on longer. I just wanted to see 2 North Americans play for longer. That would have been the only thing that would have been better.
Mm-hmm. So yes and yes. Matt Campbell was right there. We had 2 sets going, 3-2, so we'll mention that again. He was right there the whole way, and yeah, I didn't see that going 3-0. I think I would have seen that maybe going 3-1, 3-2, and I saw it going the other way, let's be honest. I know Danny's got a lot of pressure behind him, and pressure can build up. Where Matt's in his first year of his tour card, he doesn't have as much pressure, and he's sitting in a decent spot on the order of merit. Not where you'd want to be, but he's sitting in a decent spot. So overall, Danny Baggish pulling out the win, though, over Matt Campbell. Ryan, did you have any thoughts on that match before we move on?
Danny's. Let's talk about Baggish real quick. So I've talked to Danny a few times, and being a tour card player from North American is not easy. And I think he experienced a lot of downs more than he had any ups. And I think when he approached that stage, it could be one of 2 ways. Either I'm going to do what I need to do to get my tour card, or you never know, this could be my last hurrah. You just don't know what's going through his mind. But Danny, when he gets on stage, said in his interview, he feels the energy of the crowd. He feels the excitement, and he plays better in front of people. And those 4 matches, John Park said it the best in the commentary. 4 matches have a different dynamic, and when Danny got up there and felt the energy of the stage and the presence of the crowd, he excels. That's his place to be. Unfortunately, that's a hard spot to get to be a part of on a regular basis in the PDC.
He's a showman, and if he can do it when maybe the lights aren't as bright on the floor stages, he wouldn't be in the predicament that he's in. He's a great player, and he's already stated that he's not going to go back to Q school if he misses out on a card. So let's make a run, Danny. Let's make a run and see what happens. We'll talk about tour card status a little bit later because there's some implications if Danny wins and keeps winning. That's a fact. So we'll keep it as
Let's just win. Let's just win. Let's just win.
Well, one North American's hoping he loses out at some point. Let's be honest, or some other things happen, but we'll get into that later. Gert Ninjas and Leonard Gates happened today, although it wasn't the highest average match. It was still an exciting affair for us North Americans as Leonard Gates ended up winning 3-1? 3-1. That's right, okay. I didn't write it down. My mistake.
Gertz got set 1. Leonard went 3-2, 3-2, 3-0.
So it was a 78 and an 81 average there for Leonard. 42% on the doubles, 3-ton plus checkouts for Leonard, which was really impressive. Yeah, I mean, overall, he had one. We'll say it. He had one mistake that I thought where he left 10. But other than that, I think it was a decent display. We want those averages up to in the 90s range if we can get them there, Leonard. But, hey, we'll take a nice win and get another person into the second round for us North Americans. Sean, we'll start with you.
Yeah, you want to talk about a roller coaster of a match to watch, right, on the emotions. He has 105 left, hits the double bull, and everyone in the world's like 55. And he knows it's 55 too, but he still leans in to Kirk and he's like, 55? Like, yeah, that's right. It's like, okay, come on, buddy. Like, once he got to that double, we were good. If it was a normal double, tops 32, we were in the driver's seat. But I think those moments getting down to those doubles, just seeing kind of how he was going to go about things sometimes, to have the 3-ton plus checkouts was awesome because you're always like, oh, sweet, he did that. But, you know, you can't help but root for him. He dancing his way out there, gotten the USA chants going. How can you not love that more?
Yeah, let's be honest here, and I just said that. All it takes is a couple offbeat shimmies and the crowd goes nuts. Let's be honest. Not the greatest dancing I've seen from Leonard Gates, but still a shimmy nonetheless. And he definitely got the crowd working for him. And when's the last time they've ever said USA, 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 chanting it at the Alley Valley? Maybe back when LB was doing his thing. I don't even know if they did it back then. I mean, English fans are a little bit stubborn when it comes to that kind of thing. We hear them saying Scotland gets battered everywhere they go. I feel bad for Alan Suter because Leonard Gates is out here making friends off a shimmy, and he can't even make friends with a 160 checkout. What's going on with that? Ryan, what did you think about that match today?
Well, I figured Gertz would play a lot stronger against Leonard, but I mean, you know, it's a nervy situation for both of them, and then, you know, the USA, he could have gotten his head. I don't know. I mean, I don't think an 82 average is his average. I think he posts close to the 90s on the PDC tour, but I don't know. You sit there and you think about it. It's Alley Pally. The crowd's against you. Maybe that was his opponent's problem, but then again, Gates is starting to show the world players that, you know, Grand Slam and you know, he beat Fallon at the U.S. Masters, and he played there, and now he's on the Alley Pally that, you know, he's going to go after his tour card. You know, maybe there are some fear factors going on. I don't know what these people are thinking. I don't know what their perception of it is for him. It's a good win. I'm glad to see us move forward.
Another person in the second round. Can't beat that, let's be honest. And we're going into our last match of the North Americans, Richie Edhouse versus David Cameron, which honestly, that was a thrilling little match here. 87 averages for both of these individuals, and Dave Cameron coming back from the woodworks to to win this affair. Had to win 8 on the spin, and man, it was interesting. We had a wasp encounter, which people are going nuts on that one. They shoot him off, and he came back, and he just kept winning, and survived 6 match darts for a 3-2 win. Sean, we'll take it over to you first. Thoughts on that?
They had me convinced that the only reason David Cameron was winning was because of that dang wasp, and then it almost was heartbreaking when Russ Bray in the last set finally swipes it off, and you're like, no, don't do that now. And little did we know, about 2 throws later, that wasp was right back, and I knew we were still golden. I said the wasp was on him. He's got this. Watch this. And my gosh.
The World Series wasp.
So much fun.
Oh, wait a minute. The World Championship wasp.
How about this? Jeremy Burnson, let's be real. 80 for Cameron with the assist of 7 from the wasp. Quality stuff, and I mean, wasp or not, that takes some grit to come back from behind and win that match, especially with the kind of player Richie Edhouse is. He can do some damage and throw a ton here and there, and I mean, for him just kind of settle down and Cameron just to heat up and do what he needed to was great. To survive 6 match darts, kudos to David Cameron. How about this, folks? We've got 1, 2, 3 North Americans in the second round, which is great. Moving on to some matches that we want to highlight. Of course, one being William O'Connor versus Bo Greaves. Two gentlemen that may or may not be in this chat said Bo Greaves may win that match, and Will with the expertise pick of saying William O'Connor is just a savvy vet. We'll pull it out. He pulled out some good stuff, though. Yeah, he pulled out some good stuff. 94.26 average overall. Bo with the respectable 88.32. Really impressive. And a nice 1-2-2 checkout as well. But 3-0 win for William O'Connor. Ryan, we'll start with you this time. What do you think?
Well, I think the experience of Willie O'Connor was too much for Bo. She hasn't seen a player. I mean, I'm sure she sees that kind of player on a regular basis, but on the alley pally with someone with that level of experience. Had she been with a debutante, maybe it'd be a little different story. But Willie's been up there several times. I mean, he looked professional. He was solid all the way through. Just it was the same thing over and over and over again. He went to work. He did his job. He went home. That's what Bo got to face her first time around. Had she got somebody that was new to the stage or nervy, it would have been a different story.
All right, taking it all over to you, Sean, for your thoughts on that match. What do you think?
I hate Willie O'Connor.
No, that's it.
Okay, moving on.
No, we get these fan favorites. Danny Lobby last year, Bo Greaves this year, that we're so excited to watch, and they have a great chance to move forward. And all of a sudden, Willie O'Connor's just like, no, I'll shoot my best I've ever shot this year right now. And he does it time and time again. Hats off to him. He does great at the alley pally. I want to see him move forward now and win a couple more matches. And yeah, he earned it. A 3-0 victory over Bo was not easy, and I'm sure he'd be the first person to tell you that.
I agree, but I also was pretty happy to see Bo Greaves. Just there was not really a moment of all right, there's some nerves here. She really just kind of chugged along and did her own thing. Not a moment of like 26, just consistency, and it speaks volumes to where her future could be. Michael Smith winning overall, and I'm mentioning this because he threw a 96.62 with Nathan Rafferty throwing an 82 average. Smith's throwing some good stuff. When he's not on pressure and he's throwing that kind of stuff, look out for Michael Smith. Alan Suter, 92.29 in a win over Daryl Gurney with a 91.25. 3-0 win there. and a 160 check to do it. I mentioned that because surprisingly, Suits has got some followers here in the States, and he's just a good dude overall. I'll give you some facts on him. He's a firefighter. He's a 20-year Green Beret. He also trains guide dogs. He's got 5 guide dogs he's trained so far with him and his wife. How can you not love that? And by the way, his post-match interview says, "Yeah, I'm a firefighter. This is just hobby." I save lives. That's what I try to do. But quick mentionable. Overall, so far, probably the best match for the whole entire thing right now. It's got to be Scott Williams and Ryan Joyce. 100.32.
Oh boy,
average.
that was a match.
It was, wasn't it? 100.32.
It does not say how those guys were playing. Those guys were just back and forth, check, back and forth, check. It was incredible. Well, Ryan Joyce had a few darts to go his way. We go the distance.
That's what I was about to say. Ryan Joyce, I mean, he threw a 103.04. And it was a 3-1 win for Scott Williams, but 17 180s in that match, just had everything you want and then some. Yeah, that really could have been 3-2 and then some. I mean, what a match. And I think we're getting more from Scott Williams here soon as he's got Rob Cross next. And that's his good buddy, but Rob Cross has been playing well as well. So who knows what will happen there. What's your thoughts on that match, Sean?
Oh, it was so much fun to watch. As a darts fan, as a fan of anything, you just expected one of them to fall off, and it just never happened. Now, that being said, it did fall off because in the very first set, they were averaging 115 and 112. So, stupid. It's just stupid. To lose throwing a 103, and not just lose, but to lose 3-1. Throwing a 103, like Ryan Joyce has got to be like, I'm done playing the sport. The sport's stupid.
I quit.
I'm telling you,
he had 10 of those 180s too.
He did. Ryan Joyce had 7. It's just insane. I do want to mention this one. It unfortunately wasn't the best match, but I want to mention it because this guy was around him for a good solid week or so. Danny Jansen throwing an 83.42 over Polio Nebrida and an 82 points. Palio, whatever. Polio, Palio, whatever. I knew I should have just said Nebrida because that's what they said the whole time. 3-2 win for him. It was nervy. And I think you spoke with Danny about that. What do you have to say, Ryan, in his defense, or what do you have to say for him?
Well, first off, he's young. He's 20 years old. He's got quite a little pedigree that people may not realize. He's been phenomenal in youth circuits for 6 years, but he was more worried about an unknown like Paulo than he would be worried about a Suits or a Vandervoort or anybody he's played consistently or on the floor. That unknown person coming over from overseas that can chuck a good average can be very nervy and scary for you when you just don't know. And we discussed what strategies to go in and play. You know, I know that the Asian players play a little slower pace than the European players. He was prepared for it. And, you know, his scoring was good. It's a little slow in the beginning. Then it was really good there for a while. But the doubling for both of them was just it was nerves on stage. If either one of them had a 35 or 40% checkout, it would have been over fast.
Well, you said those overseas players that maybe you don't know, but maybe some you do, like Lawrence Alagan, he pulled out a 91 average to win his match, fellow Filipino. So, yeah, I mean, it can happen. Some upcoming matches to watch here. Let's go ahead and mention those. Callan Rids, Josh Rock, 21st at 8:45 a.m. That's Central Time. Dirk van Dijvenbode versus Carlos Sedlak could be a potential interesting affair. That's the 22nd at 9:45 a.m. I say that because I actually had the Raymond Smith lined up and already positioned in there, but Carlos Sedlak threw a 98 average just to go ahead and say.
Evil Charlie played great.
Oh, dude,
Evil Charlie played great.
He threw amazing, and that could be scary if you're Jeff Smith, and we'll mention that here in a little bit. For Danny Baggish, he's going to be versus Merv King. It's going to be the 21st at 1:15 p.m. Then listen to this. Leonard Gates has Stephen Bunting the 21st at 4:15 p.m. He's coming on behind MVG and Louis Williams.
Well,
He's coming
because
on
they know who's
behind
the
them.
best. They know who the best match is, and it's going to be Gates Bunting. I love that Baggish and Gates are playing on the same night. You know what
I
I'm
do
saying?
too. They're matching up the North Americans. Have you noticed that? They're matching up the North American lineups together, which is, I think they're doing that for a reason.
I like it.
Before we go any further, let's go ahead and say it. Does Danny Baggish beat Merv King, Ryan Mooneyham, yes or no?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Jesus Christ, I'm going to say no just because I got to be the third person to say something different. Alrighty.
You mean the wrong
Don't hate me
It's
even though I think it's wrong.
The gambler. It's show. He's on stage. It's the gambler. It's set play. He will win.
Let's see. I hope so. Leonard Gates, does he beat Stephen Bunting? Sean?
No.
Okay. Ryan?
I think the pace of Stephen Bunting will help Soldier, but I think experience will get him beat. I think Bunting will beat him.
And I'm the opposite. I think
it'll be a good match. And if Bunting is off on his doubles, Gates has got a chance. But that scoring power of Bunting and the speed that he plays could come back and could haunt Leonard.
I love Stephen Bunting just as an individual. He's a good guy, I've heard, and kind of some things of the past. But I think Gates has a chance here. If he can throw a 90 average or something around there, Stephen Bunting's an individual where he's hot and then he's not. He's hot and then he's not. It could very well happen. I mean, I'll be the one to say it. Continuing on, Danny Jansen, Christoph Ratajski, the 22nd at 6:45 a.m. An early riser for you. Can Danny turn the tide here and put up a match against Christoph Ratajski? Ryan?
I'm going to say yes.
Well, you have to say yes. Let's be honest. If you don't say yes,
well, they're 1-1, so they are 1-1 against each other. And Danny can average 96, 97 with the best of them, and he knows Christoph Ratajski. They are 1-1. I think you'll see a better Danny Jansen on stage. The Polish Eagle is going to bring a lot of experience to that stage, so it's going to be a good match. I'm going to go Danny Jansen.
Sean Green.
It's Ratajski.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with Danny Jansen here. I just think that Christoph is just so steady of a player, and he throws so deliberately. I think it's going to slow down Danny a little bit and kind of take that thunder away from him a touch. That's the only reason. I think it's just a bad matchup for Danny.
Well, before we get going, there he is himself, a mullet. There's a nice little photo of him. Probably
looks like
unhappy
he's giving me
at
the finger for my for what I just said.
Probably unhappy at one of those doubles he missed today, but that's quite all right. I'm going to go ahead and say Rakowski just with the experience. I think Danny has numerous alley-pally attendances or debut, or not debuts, I guess, bursts that he's going to have down the road. So maybe not this go-around, but maybe in the next go-around. Last but not least, David Cameron versus Danny Noppert. I'll flat out say it. Danny Knoppert's just too good of a player right now. He's almost in that top. What is he? He is number 9 in the world right now. He's almost in the top 5. That's scary. That's scary. Sean, go ahead.
Dave Cameron needs to hit doubles. He can score with Noppert, and honestly, when Noppert starts scoring well, Dave Cameron's going to raise his game. He almost gets. You can almost see him get mad that his opponent's hitting 180s, and he almost follows every time with at least a 140. It was impressive to see today. Even when he was losing legs, it was if Ed House was hitting a 180 and giving a little celebration, Dave's just like, watch, trip 20, I'll hit a 140. All right, let's move on. I just think that it's possible. He just has to play his top game. He can average 106, 107 for a prolonged period of time. If he does that, he has a really good chance. We
shall see. What about you, Ryan? What's your thoughts on that one?
I love Excalibur. He's a great guy. I've got to play with him, play against him. I'm rooting for him, but it's Danny Noppert, and Noppert is knocking on the door of a top 5 player.
Well,
it's just hard to. You want to root him, but it's just hard.
Well, he's already got a major underneath his belt. He's a UK Open champion this year, so that's another scary thought. When somebody has a major title, that's something to be said. Top 5 right now for the world. Go ahead.
Has Danny Noppert beat Phil Taylor this year? I don't think so.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't, although it's a outdated Phil Taylor. Let's be honest. That's
not what I asked.
Top 5 in the world right now: Gerwin Price, Peter Wright, MVG, Michael Smith, Luke Humphreys, and Rob Cross. I'll throw that in there for number 6. So there you go, folks. Now we get into tour card status, because this is where things get a little iffy. So Danny Baggish right now is in the 84th position with his win. He needs a run to the quarterfinals in order to retain his card. Easier, I'm going to say, not easy said, not easy done, because the task ahead of him is pretty hard. He's got Merv King, Rob Cross potentially, if Rob Cross can get through Scott Williams.
Oh, Scott Williams, that's right.
It's Scott Williams, I was about to say, because Scott Williams or Rob Cross could come through there, and both of those are dangerous. If he wins there, it could be Gary Anderson or Chris Doby, which I put the wrong spelling there if you boys noticed that. That's funny. So, tough task for Danny Baggish if he wants to retain, especially coming through those individuals. I think he possibly could come through Mervin, but to go through Scott Williams and to go through Rob Cross, he's going to have to bring his very best game if he hopes to retain that card. Any one of you guys have a opinion on that?
You just never know.
I'm wishing right now.
Yeah. I mean, anything can happen in the sport. We saw it a few years ago where you had Aspinall make a huge run the same year Humphreys did. And from unseeded to those positions, it could happen. Danny's had some success. He's had some success on that stage. He knows how to win on that stage, and he knows how to win last league deciders. And you never know. When you can win last league deciders, you always have a chance.
Well, if you forget how he did his PDC Tour card, he did it on the last day, folks. He just kind of stormed in and won the event. Yep. Ryan, what were you about to say?
I'm saying he has nothing to lose. He's probably got a little more juice in the tank. I think if his mentality is, if I don't get it, I'm still going to play darts. I'm still going to continue on. I just won't be coming over here as much. So I don't think the idea that he has to win is in his head. The ability to win is there, and maybe not as much nervy, and just enjoy the ride. If he enjoys the ride, he'll perform extremely well.
Well, there's in Baggish's defense, if he does not get a tour card, there is now ways to make money as an amateur like there has never been before, and he can almost make more money if he did it the right way on the amateur circuit than the pro circuit, because he's not having to worry about the travel costs associated with that. So something to be said there, maybe not. I hope he retains it, though. We'll see. Moving on, Jeff Smith, currently in the 63rd spot. And that's important to say because 64 is the cutoff. So he's right there and he's hanging on with a limb. Although he's out of this event, his fate is riding on some individuals, that being Keegan Brown, who he's lost, so that's no longer an issue. Niels Zonzeveld, who he lost as well. That's no longer an issue. Now comes to the tricky part. He's got Danny Baggish that could potentially cause some harms if he continues to win, because if Danny retains his card, that could push Jeff underneath. So that is a fact that could happen. It's unfortunate, but it could happen. Jim Williams, if he beats Sebastian Białecki, he could jump in front. Although he's a one-year tour card holder, as well as these other 4 individuals, he could He could beat him out. Carl Sedlak could beat him out with a win. How about Danny Jansen could do the same if he wins his next match? He could put Jeff Smith out of a tour card. And last but not least, Mr. Cameron Menzies, as he wins his next event or next round, could put Jeff out as well. So there's 5 names you need to watch out for if you're Jeff Smith or a Jeff Smith fan. Matt Campbell currently, if you're just asking about these, he's currently 75th in the world, which is a respectable spot to be after 1 year on the tour card. He could easily get into that top 64. And for Jules Van Dongen, he's going to have quite the year if he wants to retain. He's in 142nd spot right now. So any thoughts on that, Sean, just off the bat?
Well, you hope all the best for Jeff Smith and for Danny Baggish. And you hope all the worst for everyone else, except for Danny Jansen. He can do great, but he's only on his first year, so he doesn't need to do it this year. He can get that next year. Matt Campbell, 75th is awesome. 11 away from retaining a tour card. I think that's very doable. You said it best there. Jules just needs to catch some fire. It takes 1 or 2 tournaments to kind of settle down and just make a run. He's shown that he can compete with those guys at certain times. Now he's just got to hone in the consistency a little bit, and it can be done. But he also had a great year otherwise, doing other things. So that's also great.
Yeah, he did win in the TOC men's finale. That's a good one for sure. We'll mention that. Ryan, any thoughts on the tour card situation?
I hope Jeff Smith does retain his tour card. I like Jeff. I also know if you are friends with Jeff, or if you follow Jeff, that man has had no luck in traveling experiences. The people post their best averages against him. I mean, something's got to turn his way. If he has to go back to Q school, and he does go back to Q school, I really hope he gets it, because I like watching him play. I'm a big fan of him. I got my fingers crossed for him as well. We'll see. It's the World Championship money just changes everything so quick, so fast.
It certainly does. I wish they honestly would change the way they did the ranking system a little bit, because you got 2 people that are way out in front of everybody else, and it just kind of makes it hard to defend some money when it comes to defending a championship or a title a couple years down the road. We saw it with Rob Cross. Now he's just getting back to things. For Q School, wanted to mention this. CDC Q Schools are underway. Try to attend those if you're interested in getting into the CDC program. How many are going to attend PDC Q School is a good question. I know that we have a lot of individuals that are kind of marking those dates down. I don't know how many we're going to see, but I'm sure we're going to see a lot. Now, the question I have for you, gentlemen, is how many North Americans have a tour card next year? Ryan? So right now, you think 6. Okay, so 6, and potentially 2 could fall off. So you've got either 2 retaining with 2 more added in, or 4 winning outright, or maybe 3 and 3. Sean, what do you think? 3 and 3.
I think it's 4. I think 4 total.
I'm going to have to agree. 4, maybe 5. Maybe 5. And I think one of these guys...
the over-under's 4.
Yeah, and I think either one of these guys retains or both of them drop, unfortunately. I think it's not going to be both with Danny Baggish and Jeff Smith, which does suck to say, but I think it's just going to happen. So, yeah, I mean, who knows who it's going to be that steps in and gets their tour card, but I think North America is definitely here to make a statement, and I think kind of the rest of the world is taking notice too and starting to watch out for North American darts. And I think that
Matthew Egger tweeted about it today too.
I was about to say the Matthew Egger, and then just the chant from the crowd there kind of makes you think, maybe they think we're something here. Maybe they think we're something. Last question for you individuals. WDF World Championships are April 2nd through the 10th, which is kind of late in the year, let's be honest. Danny Lobby, Jim Widmeyer are going to participate, but what does that mean for the WDF players that potentially earn their tour card, which we've seen in the past, numerous individuals get their tour card that were in there. Sean, what's your thoughts?
Yeah.
What do they do?
I think if they want to keep a super awesome competitive World Championships, they let those guys compete if they get their PDC Tour card, kind of like they did last year. Because it's pushed back to about the same time this year, I just could see that kind of retaining. I don't know. I don't know who actually created the waiver for that for this past year, if it was WDF or if it was the PDC.
So what it's going to be is it's going to be the WDF that has to ask for permission for that to happen, because the PDC, once they get their tour card, they're contractually obligated to pretty much property of the PDC in essence. So, and the way we've seen things with the PDC working, it's hard for me to believe that they're going to give that permission to them, because they've already said that they're going to come from their own system in order to fight for their titles. But do they let their players play in other championships? I don't know. I hope they do.
There's nothing going on.
Yeah.
If there's nothing going on that weekend or something, I don't see how that would be an issue. But
you never know. You never know. Do they let some of these PDC players coming over for the Vegas Open get streamed? That's a very good question, too. So if you didn't know, some PDC players may be making their way over to the Vegas Open this year. So book your tickets for that one if you haven't. A little promo for that. Huh?
When is that?
Well, let's see. We got a little flyer here for you. January 19th through the 22nd, as we'll be streaming that event. So there you go. There you go. Hopefully you'll be in attendance and joining us. But anyway, Ryan, did you have any thoughts on what they may do for that one? If they may just go off the ranking list? Thoughts?
I don't know. I've always wanted to, and it won't work, but I've always wanted the amateur circuits to feed the professional circuits. And if you've got an amateur that's won their tour card that can play in the amateur world championships, I think they should play for showmanship, for the ability to win, to grab a title. I mean, you go 1,000 different directions, but what I think is the fan base will watch more American darts, and then you got amateur darts, and then you got the PDC darts. You gotta have those levels, and not having the ability to showcase someone who was an amateur last year play for a title this year, even though they won their tour card. I think it's an unjust, but that's not my decision.
I'll say it outright. I agree with you on the feeder system. I think that the WDF would be a perfect feeder system for the PDC, but unfortunately we haven't seen that yet, because there's been a lack of what the WDF can offer. And I think just the WDF Masters alone, the stream that they produce, was kind of okay, now we're seeing something here. So maybe we get them to kind of, work with them in the future. But the same could be said for CDC. I wish the CDC worked with the ADO a little bit more to be a feeder system. But they're instead relying on the dart players' systems, which is perfectly fine. They're entitled to do that. Maybe they offered some of the ADO people a spot inside the top 25 or whatever it may be. But it is what it is. It's to each their own. Just like the whole Fallon situation, to each their own. They're going to do what they want to do. For future events, guys, let's get right into that. Steel Tip Missouri Open's right around the corner. That's the weekend before. Right, the first weekend. That's the first weekend of Missouri, I believe. As Ryan just gets on up and says, "Let me grab my trophy real quick." Go ahead, buddy. Missouri State champion. Show off that Woody one while you're at it. Show off the Woody one while you're at it, my guy.
Oh shoot!
This is the Grand Woody from winning the Woody.
This is the most coveted trophy in the state of Missouri. I love this trophy.
The Grand Woody. Playing Woody darts is how you get that one. So that's right around the corner. And then, of course, we said at the LVO, of course, is January 19th through the 22nd. How about Shoot the Rapids? We'll be streaming that event February 3rd and 4th up there in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Great event there, $10,000 for that event. And then we'll be headed down south the next weekend as we go to Alabama for the Shoot for the Moon tournament, February 10th through the 12th. Man, we are going to be jam-packed. For soft tip, PPD, DRTs, daily remote tournaments are always in effect. The CSC Challenger Series is right around the corner. Make sure you get your games in so that you can participate in that one. And then how about this? Booyah Cup qualifiers are happening. You do not want to miss that Booyah Cup. There is a list of names. And actually, let me see if I can go ahead and pull that up real quick, because I wasn't prepared for that one, but nonetheless, this needs to be mentioned here. Our list of names.
Rick Kinsey won yesterday, right?
Yeah, Rick Kinsey won yesterday. So far we've got Kevin Luke, Mike Maloney, Jesse Johnson, Larry Butler, Dan Burke, Elliot Milk, Dason Alberts, Seth Stefano, Bob Anderson, and Rick Kinsey. And don't forget, your defending champion is Leonard Gates, so he'll automatically get an entry into that. For the women, Liz Tynan, Shay Cole, Abby Spott, and Chris Grimmel. So already shaping up to be quite the field, both men and women. It should be quite a weekend of fun up there in Wisconsin. I'm really looking forward to it. But before we head out, Sean, do you got any final words, buddy?
No. Thanks, guys, for tuning in with us. If you have not done so already, the Cross Border Challenge, get your tickets to go to New Jersey to see that thing in April.
Yeah, good mention in there. Cross-border challenge in New Jersey. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I hope to be there myself. I know numerous others are as well. Ryan, did you have any final thoughts, buddy?
To the players, the North American players still in the championships, we got your back. We're going to be tuning in. We're going to be watching hard. We're rooting for you. Every dart you throw, every double you hit. To all the players that were in the Windmill World Masters, the boys, the girls, the men, and the women, you guys played stellar. You represented your countries, both Canada and the United States, fantastically. I was never so proud of the amount of players from overseas playing. That's the steps that I like to see for us in North America.
Kudos. Same thing there. It's great to see so many individuals go over there and support each other and do that. So one final statement, we did have a question. Roderick Burrow asking about, so if the PDC Tour Card players come to Vegas, will they appear on the stream? It depends on it. Well, it depends on if they get the clearance or not. If they do get clearance, they will participate. But will the PDC allow it? It depends on how many individuals are headed over. If there's like 10 of them, probably not. It's going to be pretty tough because they don't want a final versus two PDC players on the stream. But that's just my thoughts. I don't know the whole thing behind the works or whatever, but I could see it going that way. So there we go. There's our final remarks, guys. Thanks for being here. It was a fun little podcast this evening. Nice to recap some of the matches from this World Championship as well as the WDF Masters. Always good to do. Probably do another one at the end of this bad boy, which is probably just a few weeks away. What do you guys say?
Who do we pick to win?
Oh,
picked.
We haven't picked. I did skip over that real quick.
Sean.
Why do I have to go first? Why don't you
because
go first?
Let's hear it, Sean. Who do you got winning the World Championships before we head out?
It's stupid. It's going to be someone with the first name Michael.
So Michael Smith or Michael Van Gerwen. Or Mike Decker. Ryan, who do you got?
Michael Smith.
Okay, Michael Smith. I'll say Michael Van Gerwen just to be that guy.
Wait,
so it's Michael Smith, Michael Van Gerwen.
I'll say Michael Van Gerwen just to be that guy. It's tough to call. I mean, we haven't seen a couple individuals take the stage yet. I think it is impressive that Michael Smith had that 96 average with no competition, really. Scott Williams impresses me. I don't think he'll do it, though.
Out of guys ranked 5th through 12th, we all have that list, I think, in front of us. Who is the most likely to win from that list?
Rob Cross.
You guys said that quickly.
You guys think that? What do you think, Aspinall or Noppert?
Noppert.
Aspinall.
Aspinall's made 2 finals in the last 2 events, so
What about sneaky Johnny Clayton? Wouldn't that be an awesome world champion?
It would be an awesome one.
A good world champion. I like Johnny Clayton.
Johnny Clayton's a great guy. I'll say that right off the bat from meeting him in New York. Phenomenal attitude towards life in general, just top notch, dude. So I would love to see him do it. Heck, I'd love to see Alan Suter do it just because he's a quality person. But is it likely? I don't know. So
Yeah.
We'll see. But anyway,
Hey,
Johnny Clayton's my dark horse
happening.
from that list.
Johnny Clayton's the dark horse. All righty. Well, gentlemen, it was fun. We'll do this again in a couple weeks to recap the whole thing and go from there. What do you say before we have a start of 2023 for USA Darts, as well as all of us here? So looking forward to that one. Any last words, guys?
Merry Christmas, guys. Happy holidays.
That's a good one. We are right around the corner from that. We better do it. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas,
Go
all that
Chiefs.
kit caboodle, and
Go
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
And go Chiefs. I like that.
Go Chiefs. Hey, Sean, you know that Mark Ryan has been in the losing side of the two worst losses in history for the NFL, one in the Super Bowl and one the other day.
So you see.
It's not even important enough to remember his first name.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's not even important enough to remember his first name. Matt Ryan.
Right, there we go.
What are you going to do? We're trying to get a top 5 draft pick here, okay? We can't go around winning games.
Quarterback.
It'll work. All right, guys. Take care. We'll see you next time here on the Bullshooting Podcast. Catch a recap on all your audio platforms. We'll cut that out so nobody else hears it. All right, guys. Take care. We'll see you.